Hello everyone, my name is Dennis with DonkSec or Donk Security, whatever your heart desires. In today's video, we'll be doing another TryHackMe lab called File and Hash Threat Intel. So let's get straight on to it. Introduction here, obviously we are in a SOC. We're going to be living inside alert queues and triaging. Every entry follows three essential steps: verify, enrich, and decide. File and hash intelligence is squarely in the enrich phase, transforming a lone path or hash value into a knowledge within your organization about malicious artifacts that would have been identified. So basically what it is that any file basically has a hash, and that is an identifiable hash that can be used to help, enrich and decide if that artifact is either malicious or not malicious. We'll be doing some hands-on work here, so we'll get definitely familiar with all of what I'm trying to say here. Yeah, but let's go skip all of these stuff right here. Let's go with task 2 now. So, suspicious file, such as setup exe, we want to get a context about it as much as possible. So best way we can do it is by, looking at the strings, which is the file paths, any view that is available to an analyst can get a clear difference if it's going to be a true positive or a false positive. Obviously, when alone, they do not prove maliciousness or not being malicious, but it definitely gives you a good indicator if it is or not. File path analysis. C drive is a common target for persistence mechanisms. C-users-public. It's a profile that can cross user access of detonated adversary tools. And the public downloads provides a high traffic directory that would evade strict monitoring. Adversaries may utilize other malware staging patterns, such as temp directories for payloads, and then placing payloads into system paths that are writable, such as program data for stealth persistence. And we got some indicators right here. Invoice.pdf.exe loaders the Windows default settings that hide file extensions. Basically, it's kind of a double extension right here. We have a PDF and exe. Binary impersonation, a file name such as svc host uses the user familiar with courses and processes. Someone basically uses a legitimate process as a malicious process. Strings, file names such as this.exe suggest automated packing or generation, which is commonly used in high churn phishing operation. Masquerading files, blending or fruiting files, kind of like impersonation, but it's just a leverage more on reduced suspicion, which is also kind of like impersonation as well, which can bypass detection while looking visually legitimate to an unsuspecting employee. Right. One of the files included in the CTI folders on this shows one of the indicators mentioned. Can you identify this file and the indicator? We just please go to CTI files right here. If it wants to double click, please. Okay. And right off the bat, I can see something that should realistically never be here. Payroll.pdf. You just right click it, click properties. We can see that it's a .pdf, and then we see the type of file, which is .exe. And you also click view right here, file name extensions, and then you see more payroll.pdf.exe. The answer here should be payroll.pdf, double extensions. We click check, and then bam, that is task 2 done. Now we move on to task 3. So we identified the file. Now it's still inclusive because attackers constantly rename files, so we can tie the names back to the binary through fingerprinting through its file hash. So SHA-256, MD5, those are both file hashes that can use to identify files and malware, but also name changes. So we can generate a file hash using the following commands. We can do a command prompt here. Let's say we do a command prompt, or we do the PowerShell, basically the same thing, but different way to like recognize it according to the prompt or PowerShell. Then obviously it would give us our SHA-256 hash. So in a SOC, we could search up for the hash on VirusTotal, really nice threat intelligence platform. Just always keep in mind though, just because VirusTotal says it is not malicious does not mean it is not malicious. Best way to triage a alert is actually looking at the processes when you open it up in a safe, containerized environment such as the sandbox. Obviously, we look at VirusTotal here. We got the hash from our command prompt or PowerShell. We paste it right here, and then we have 65 out of 72 security offenders as malicious. You see that it's a Trojan, which is a type of malware that blends in. 132 backdoor, drop her. Let's just score 100%. All right, and then we see the family labels as well. Try categories Trojan, and we can also see the community discussion as well, just to see like who's talking about this. Maybe they got alert on their system. So we can break it down as well. Obviously, kind of already told you about this. The detect and score threat labels, how many vendors detected as filed malicious, 65 out of 72. And then we can also look at the upload time, uh, which I believe is right. If it's in the details tab, I could be wrong though. But yeah, it's just old stuff that you guys should just actually be doing hands-on. So just really just grab any malicious file hash, paste it in VirusTotal, and just go ham there. So this is literally what this whole section is talking about. And then we can cross-reference with Malwarebazaar. It's also a malware and collection analysis tool. We can see what this person's trying to do here. Looks like he's trying to see the statistics of the malware, or is he just looking at Malwarebazaar general view? Yeah, it looks like it's just a general view, not a specific malware. So it's kind of like it's kind of like VirusTotal, a threat intelligence platform, a bunch of database, and then we can see what type of hash is it, and then if it's been triaged by someone else, and we can determine from there, or not really have a concrete determination of if it's malicious or not. Oh my goodness, I have a good idea of what to look for next. I'm like really zoomed in here, guys. I don't know. Okay, but what is a 256 hash of the file blogger? It kind of messed up my thing here, but what I have to do here is if I know where the malicious exe is, I just click this right here. I click PowerShell.exe, and then bam, I'm already here in the file. So all I need to do here is just get file hash minus algorithm SHA-256 logger.exe, and then we do get our hash right here, and we should kind of check it is the correct answer. What is the threat indication label used to identify the malicious file? We just go to VirusTotal here, very free tool, and then we just go to popular threat label right here. Oh my goodness, guys, my thing is messed up, dudes. Hopefully that. I said, I don't know what my setting was on last time, but we just copy and paste this thing right here. And that should be the answer. What was the file first submitted for analysis? Yeah, I was right. Just go to the details tab right here, and then we see first submission right here. I believe this should be the correct answer. We'll see if it is. Yes, it is. Which vendor classified the Morse code analyzer file as non-malicious? Well, what a nice game to play here. So we got a bread, and then we got this right here. Okay. This, this. All right, let's verify that I'm a human, guys. We click browse here, and then TryHackMe wants to do it this way. SHA-256, which is the correct way, and then we got our hash. Uh, click search, and we do have our report. And it takes a while to load. I don't know why. And then it's telling us which vendor it is. So we look at vendor threat intelligence. We do see Cyber Fortress, which is a vendor, and that should be the correct answer. Which minor technique has been flagged for persistence and privilege escalation for Morse code analyzer file? We go to the behavior tab, we scroll down, we do see the minor attack tactics and techniques. We look at what VirusTotal is mapping to the specific hash. We do see here two executions. So one technique is command and scripting interpreter, one is shared modules. I just copied pasted this link, and it gave me a technique, pasted it onto Google URL. Went to minor tech right here, and we do see that the Windows malware can be started to load DLLs from local paths and universal naming convention network paths. Basically, is loading dynamic link libraries, is shared libraries onto that specific process. So executing payloads on a victim system. So that is the answer for that task. All right, sandbox analysis. So this is what I'm talking about. Always really good to have this your tool set. Security analyst will use sandbox to do three things: confirm execution. Nothing happens, your alert might be a decoy. Track runtime IOCs and indicators of compromises, which are domain names, payloads, feed hunts, and detections mapped to the minor tag. So most sandboxes all label behavior with tag IDs, fast tracking your report. So we'll be using a lot of sandbox tools. My personal favorite is any run. I have heard of hybrid analysis and Joe Samac before. Uh, Looks like we're going to be doing a hybrid analysis here. Uh, I guess the analyst pastes the hash or the malicious file onto the sandbox, and from there, the sandbox gives it a score of 100 out of 100, 80 detection, antivirus detection of 88%. And then it's a malicious confidence of 100%, and then obviously performs a risk assessment and maps those risk assessments to the MITRE ATT&CK framework. Uh, Obviously, it'll also give us more file details that can be also used after from VirusTotal, but it gives us more descriptions as well. So it does have some limitations though. Evasion techniques, fractures would design their payloads to detect and evade sandboxes, leading to false negatives. Some of the most common evasion attacks can include environment awareness checks, malware checks for signs of virtualized sandbox environments, anti-debugging and anti-sandboxing tricks. Malware conducts debugger detection and checks for unique hardware IDs. Limited execution time and coverage. Most sandboxes terminate also after 2 to 5 minutes, which means that multi-stage malware may not fully execute. Additionally, timely attacks will evade detection. As previously covered, this would mean cross-referencing other threat intelligence resources. Encrypted and obfuscated traffic. Many sandboxes cannot decrypt SSL TLS traffic, leading to blind spots. This may result in HTTPS C2 traffic appearing with no payload visibility or a malware utilizing DNS tunneling to hide data in DNS queries. Pilots and living off the land malware. Some threats never touch disk by bypassing traditional sandbox analysis by employing PowerShell attacks and Windows management instrumentation persistence. Now it's your turn to use TryHackMe tool to answer the question below. Okay, let's use our TryHackMe tool, which I have used on the SAL1 certification. So let's see if they did anything new with this. I believe I passed that certification like a year ago. Um, like usual, always taking a little bit longer to load up. This might not work, guys. I don't know. I'm not even worried about it. Let's do hyper analysis. Let's click report search, click our file hash right here, click search, and then let's go for this one right here. It wants to load, of course. Everything's not loading as fast. What's the first going to say? What tags are used to identify the file? And we have these tags right here, which is weird because it only shows 4 tags here, but then it shows Windows Server's utility. So I guess the main 3 tags are Black Moon Discovery, Windows Server's utility. What was the self command line executed from the file? So we do see indicators. We scroll down, we see detected reg SVR32 execution. What is this? This is a, don't really give us the correct answer. Let's go MITRE ATT&CK here. Establish persistence. Yes, defense evasion execution. So proxy execution of malicious codes to bypass security monitoring. Copy paste this whole command line right here, and that should be the answer. Nice, alright. Which other process was spawned according to the process tree? So I had to go to try detect this 2.0, so it is a nice update. Go to process tree right here, and then we do see warfault exe. And that's a payload file. Looking at the file, answer question below. Gives me masquerading as which known malicious Windows file. So we do get a hint that in this screenshot or whatever, it is Windows Server's utility. So we're looking at a Windows Server's utility tool. Not Windows Server's utility. I'm sorry, it's 10 p.m. Windows file. So we're looking at svc host.exe, and we do see 2 instances where hybrid analysis captures a interesting string of Windows System 32 host.exe. So I guess it's a .dl, which I should have known, because obviously we've talked about dynamic link libraries earlier in the beginning of the video. How I found it was going to PowerShell and then writing these commands right here just to understand the original file name, which is svchost.dl. Excuse me on that hiccup right there. What associated URL is linked to the file? So we're supposed to extract the hash from that file, get this hash, and we do have our URL right here. Make sure we are doing HXSP. Reason why is because you want to defang it. You want to make sure that if you don't accidentally click on a blue URL link that it's malicious, you just replace the T with X, and then any dots here, you just kind of do like a bracket, kind of like this right here, just so you can defang it. How many China strings were identified from the sandbox analysis of the file? And then now we just go to try detect this, paste the hash there, and then we do see extracted strings 454. That should be it for that task. Now we got a challenge here. Now let's look at the suspected file challenge that bin that sample. What is the SHA-256 hash of this file? So pretty self-explanatory. Just go PowerShell.exe right here, get the file hash from this bin.sample, and that is it. What family labels are assigned to a file on the virus total? I do see the family labels right here. When was the first time the file was recorded in the wild? So yeah, just go to details, and then we see first seen in the wild right here, way in the bottom there. Name the text file dropped during the execution of the malicious file. And we do see dropped files when we go to try to detect this, and we do see akura readme.txt. What PowerShell command is observed to be executed? We just click command execution, we see get NWI, remove NWI object. What minor tag ID is associated with the action of the command? And we do see the first technique right here, inhibit system recovery, which is a technique used for execution, which matches the execution of the command. And yes, that is the correct answer. So yeah, congrats on cleaning the room. Threat intelligence is integral to SOC workflow, which is unknown binaries encountered by threat alerts. So yeah, pretty cool room. Definitely was a good refresher for me. Hopefully I made you guys learn something. Like always, thank you for watching. I'll see you when I see you in my next video.